Works meeting to order, and first thing I would like to do would be to have roll call.
Craig Koshaw.
Here.
Bill Carbach.
Here.
Ken Meyer.
Here. You were emailed a copy of our minutes from our November 21st meeting, and if you've had a chance to review those minutes, I'd look for a motion to approve them.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our November 21st meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you. First order of business this evening would be with Mr. Nick Koss. Nick is here from sunny Miami, and he's really enjoying the balmy, cool weather here. And have a seat right there. Do you know if the mic's turned on?
I don't think it is.
No, it's okay. Nick, you video all of our meetings. And that camera in the back. So
This was just handed out to us last meeting. It's for signatory, but obviously we're not going to do that. So just each of us to have everybody pick something up that was not supposed to be mine. No, this was the original alternative. This was, so yeah, don't sweat it. Nope. Can you keep it or?
Okay. Nick, you were here, and I don't even have the paper in front of me. I've been busy back there, and I forgot to bring it with me, but you were here back in maybe April, I'm guessing, something like that, March of last year?
March. Yeah.
March?
That might have been, yeah.
Okay, and you had your attorney, and you gave us a list of things that you proposed doing to the Cottonwood Estates, and you took it serious, and you did get in there, and you really cleaned up the frontage a lot. You did put skirting around most if not all of them. Trying to think of other things. I think you did remove some carports, and maybe you moved some steps out and put some steps in that were better than what was there. So this is kind of a follow-up, if you will. You said you'd have all that done. You'd have that done by, I think, the end of August, and you pretty much did. So this is a follow-up. And I know there's still work going on in there from time to time, still. And as a follow-up, I guess we just kind of I said that when you're in town, let us know. We'll have you come in again. And you contacted me and said you'd be here at this meeting. So thanks for coming. I guess from the board's view, Bill Carbach, the gentleman to my far left, on your far right, he's our code enforcement officer, and he drives around town and cites people for various violations, whatever. I know Bill has some concern with the property itself and some of the residences in the buildings. We've had some complaints from city residents about Cottonwood Estates and how unsightly they are. And I think there's a couple gentlemen here this evening, I think, that are from one of the local Methodist churches, and they make some meal deliveries, and I think they're here to maybe speak on behalf of what they saw at some of the residences. So, Bill, is there anything you want to open up by saying to Nick?
Well, first of all, Nick, as a city, or especially as myself on the Board of Works and Code Enforcement, I'd like to thank you for cleaning the front part of the trailer park up. It definitely, like the mayor pointed out, is less unsightly, because we had concerns about the front part of the trailers that were placed in the front. They were really not livable, and they were just sitting there, and they were quite the eyesore. I was going out and taking pictures of the ones I thought you should address, and I was telling the mayor, every time I came back, the pictures I took you were taking care of those units, and I was quite impressed. I didn't know if it was me taking the pictures or you one step ahead of me. But then I had some concern. I saw the dump truck out there, and I thought you were basically taking the trailers apart and removing them, and I found out later through the police department that you actually were moving them to the back, some of them, and
Yes, that's what I said I would be done.
okay, that's fine, I'm not questioning that. But I found out also later through the police department that some of them, the sewage system was not hooked up proper, and they were leaking sewage out. What really concerns me, Nick, is, and you're probably not even aware of it, but the times that the police have to go out to your Cottonwood, the pictures that I receive back of the living conditions that these people are living in, really are terrible, and they shouldn't be living in those type of conditions. Personally, myself, the way I feel. These are the things that concern me. I don't know how you control that situation, how the people live. It's not technically up to you. My question is, do you have a manager of that park?
Local.
Somebody manages it?
There's somebody in Oak Ridge Estates that watches both of them. And all the tenants have my number. I like it better that way because I'll answer calls in the evenings and on the weekends.
Do you have certain conditions they have to live up to? Do you have covenants of any type? For example, the trash and debris, wrecked cars, inoperable cars that sit in the lots. Do you have that kind of stipulation that they have to maintain certain levels of their trailers?
The outside.
That's what I mean, yeah.
The outside, yes.
Yeah, sure.
And I've stepped up since the meeting that we had, I stepped up I changed the system of watching what they throw out. And I have several people that work for me that are not in charge of the cleanup go around and send me pictures. And then I send it to the people who are supposed to clean up, and I've been much better at cleaning up the property. Because we're not, I'll have certain people go around and take pictures, and I say, go around please the property and see anything thrown out. Is there a mattress, a couch, a chair, debris, whatever? And then I send those pictures to the people that are supposed to clean it up, and they go on it. I've been on it much better, finding the stuff quicker.
Yeah, well, that's good. There's a trailer sitting there right now that's probably got 30, 40 tires in it. And
I inherited that from the previous owners.
Okay. And I believe that, and that's a shame, but I'm sure those type of situations come into play. But I've just received one gentleman walks through your park and kind of looks things over, and he mentioned this trailer, so I went out and looked at it. And, I mean, I just wanted to make sure you are aware of it, and you are, so.
The sewers, I don't have sewers running into the streets as a habit. We get on that and we fix that.
No, these are running underneath the trailer.
We do go out and fix these things.
Okay.
We do go out and fix these things. This is not something that is good. This is not healthy, and it's not a good business practice, and that doesn't happen that often. And I do have people go out and fix these things.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing this, and I'm glad that you're stepping up to the plate and taking care of these things. That's all we want you to do as a city. And as I drive through, I still see a lot of terrible conditions, and if you're fixing them, that's great. But
we took down a good sized number of little sheds, shops. I would say almost a dozen of them. We took down some sheds, some decks, and some roofs that were rotten. Several of those.
If I could, I see the gentleman in back. If they want to make a comment, I'd like them to let you know what they know or what they've seen. And also, I've noticed that Jessica Bergdahl is here. She's the Adams County Health up from the health
We've spoken a
department.
couple times on the phone, hello? We
Yeah.
finally meet.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if maybe she has some comments too, but Craig, Chris, either of you have some comments you'd like to share with Nick?
The one person that we're working with comes to our food pantry, and Nick, I don't envy your task of cleanup. It is a big difference from 27. You can see a big difference. I know there's been a lot of work on it, so thank you. As Joe said,
Thank you, I
thank you.
appreciate that.
As this person's pastor, who's been in the trailer a couple of times, I know Craig's been in a handful of times as well, that trailer would not receive a certificate of occupancy if it were a new build. They've repaired a hole in the floor that was there when they moved in that a small child could have crawled through to the outside. I mean, that's that big of a hole. They currently live with only half of the trailer with power, and they've been promised that the second half, well, we're going to fix it, and the circuit, whatever's wrong on the circuit board, the circuits are not fixed. So they're still living with half of a trailer that has power and half that doesn't. It's just not good. I don't want to look at the lifestyle and say, well, it's different than my lifestyle. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a habitable domicile, and it's not. And some of that is because of what was inherited, but some of it's because it hasn't been dealt with. It hasn't been.
Can I ask what the cleanliness, the neatness of the home, the maintenance appeared to you, the personal?
The people I know moved in summer, and my first time in was shortly after they moved. Clean, not extremely, but not overtly bad either.
About recently?
Most recent I was in was about a month ago, and about the same as it was. So are they clean people? Not necessarily. Are they maintenance-oriented people? Perhaps, because they repaired the floor with a little bit of instruction. So I think they inherited this. I think this is the way it was when they moved in. I don't think this is something they created. I understand some people that live back there may have created some issues. I don't think these two did.
A key point with this property is that this is a land lease community, and these mobile homes belong to tenants. And whenever one is left behind, I will do a certain amount of repairs on them. And I've been doing a lot more lately than I usually do, because they promise me the world and the sky, and then they don't do nothing because they're under the gun, they're getting evicted, they'll take anything, and then they don't do anything. So now I fix the floors, and I'll do things for them. And they're charged the base lot rent, which is what people pay when they own their home, and they make certain promises that they'll be the owners of the home and take care of it. And they don't. They'll promise me everything. I know one that I promised them that I was going to fix the electricity, and I will, and I do send the electricians frequently to these properties. A lot of times, that tenant has been there for decades, and I don't own the home, and they have a problem, and I'll pay somebody. I'll pay the electrician to go fix it because they're good tenants and they pay the lot rent. That half the home doesn't have electricity. It might be a big problem. It may be the receptacles are connected in series, and one is broken, and the other three now don't have electricity. It could be a small fix.
I understand that, but they moved in with it that way, which means you or someone sold them that piece of property in an uninhabitable, in my opinion, uninhabitable.
That happens very often and is legal. Banks will, I bought properties that you sign away every right to come back to them on what they're selling you, as is, where is. I'm sure the attorney would.
I'm not an attorney,
This
so
happens.
I'm not here to talk.
The banks do that, and I do much better to the people than the banks do when they come back to me about something. That electrical issue is going to be fixed.
Do you have a timetable for that?
Do you know what the lot number is there?
You know the one
It's the second entrance in as you're going south on 13th Street. So I got second entrance in and on the right.
Yeah.
What I'd be interested in knowing, these two young men that live there don't have a whole lot to a whole lot of resources. I can tell you, and I stopped in last night when I got back to town, and it looked better to me last night than it did when I saw it 3 weeks ago. Probably because they've got some furnishings in there, and they are trying to make simple repairs, doing some floor repair, and so forth. What I'd like to understand is the deposit situation, because these guys don't know what, they paid a $200 deposit. I asked one of them again just an hour ago how that works, and they do not know if they get the deposit back. In fact, one of them told me at one time they're not supposed to pay for part of the repairs. So can you explain that, how the deposit works?
I started charging a deposit recently because all too often I would rent a base lot rent, I would get $300 and some dollars, and I would never see anything again. I used to rent some on a story that they're going to have the money, and I stopped that pretty quick. So then I said, no, first month's rent, and that's the money, last money I'd ever see. I would have to evict them, they would leave me 5 truckloads of garbage, and they did not break the place on top of it because I evicted them because they didn't pay. So if they would leave, if they would tell me they're leaving, I don't ask them, anybody to sign a lease. If they would tell me they're leaving, if it's the 27th of the month, and they tell me that we're leaving on the 30th, if they left the place clean, I would return that deposit. I can tell you I've never had to return a deposit.
Well, these two young men, I think, have every intention of making that their home as much as they can. So they don't intend to leave unless the electric's not fixed. They told me last night the electric's not fixed, they're out of there, so they can't.
In fact, I think I know who it is, and they're friends. One of my maintenance people that works on and off for me part-time works with them at work. And the electrician is going to go there and fix that. They get big projects. It's difficult. They get busy to do the little small things. I really do fix a lot of this stuff. And I'll go in and fix the floor for them too. But too often, the place is deemed uninhabitable, not for reasons that are due to me. And I see these conditions a lot.
So you're willing to repair this floor for them?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go in and fix that.
And pay for materials as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The other question I have is, their understanding is that after being there for 3 months, that the ownership of that trailer goes to them. Is that correct?
I never mentioned that number to them. I usually say if you pay on time, lot rent for a year, it's yours.
A year?
Yeah. A year is what I usually say. And it's not even irrelevant because I would never bother them. If they pay a lot rent, they're never going to hear from me. The electrical issue is it's small. A lot of times people get excited and they accept something that's beyond their ability to deal with. And I did promise though to fix the electricity for them. And I will step that up and fix that.
Well, what should we tell them about the floors? I've already bought them some subflooring they're using now, but they need a whole lot more. What should I tell them about that?
I can stop there tonight and take a look and see how much of the floor needs repair. I have a person that I've hired that is doing these repairs, and in a few days he's finishing a unit that we're doing in Huntington, and I'll send him then after to that. But I tell you, I have frequent experience that the one in Huntington, I spent $2,000 in supplies, because we about $1,000 in labor, and it's an older lady with and her daughter, and I think that one's going to turn out good. But I'll spend $700 on carpet, and then they'll let the dog go to the bathroom on the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody who's owned properties has been a landlord, and all of them that own their homes, if their water freezes, if they have problems with the furnace, if the water freezes, if they have problems with the furnace or their water heater, I will help. I pay for it as a general expense. Because what I saw is, okay, I have a good tenant. Their furnace broke. I have nothing to do with that. They own their home, they pay property tax on that home, but they can't fix it. So I'll send the furnace person to fix it.
So what's the process for transfer of ownership when that happens? Without a lease or any sort of a contract, how do they know where they stand?
And do you have titles on all the homes?
Not on all of them. There's a process that we can go through, I believe it's called a quiet title action, that we can get titles to them and give them a title for it. I don't have many successful people that stayed, even though the home was given to them.
But shouldn't they still have a title? Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
they should.
Yeah, technically they should.
Right.
But if they should and they would, but if I'm the only person that could claim it and I give them something in writing that I'm not claiming it, it's yours, usually that's an excuse. I do have many instances that people are coming up with excuses because they don't want to pay rent and they're playing the system. And we had a case in the summer with cockroaches, and he owed 3 months' rent. And he had fenced a large area with many dogs, and the dog feces there were just... And I went online. I mean, this was bothering me, and I heard that cockroaches will get attracted to odors, and they will be attracted to animal waste. And I live in Florida where the cockroaches are outside. It's the big palmetto bugs with the wings. And we know, everybody knows in Florida, you put the garbage away, you wash the dishes, you keep them out. I had a complaint. All summer I stayed at a double wide at Oak Ridge, and the lady behind me complained that she got cockroaches from the unit across the park. The park is 28 acres. She got the cockroaches, went to her.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they went to her because she had 2 big horses that she called dogs, and she would never clean the poop out of her yard. And I had the double wide in front of her, and I didn't have a single bug there. Because they had nothing to eat. They would starve. I didn't have a pet.
Jessica, is there anything that you have to report this evening as far as conditions or...
Not so much inside of the units, because we only know about that if someone reports it to us. Like, if you find something that you think is uninhabitable, if you would let us know, then we can get involved and address those situations. So I'll get with Nick on them, and we usually try to find a solution. It's more, I was there in, I want to say it was October, with the state health inspector who inspects them regularly, and we just saw a lot of vacant properties that weren't secured, some trash, a lot of cats running around. So those are my concerns, just that those issues get addressed.
How many, do you have any idea how many mobile homes are in there and how many are uninhabited? I guess I could have counted myself, but yeah, when I drove through this week, I thought seemed like there was a lot of them that were uninhabited.
I address the refuse issue regularly. And I've been even better at it recently with the picture system, where I send people to take pictures and we get at it. Mm-hmm. That the units are unsecured, that's a fairly easy thing to fix again. If you go around, if you ever catch things like that, if you send me pictures, I had that system with the previous person, they got cleaned up the same day. But I am very regular and aggressive in going around and picking this stuff up.
Sure.
I don't know, sometimes if you saw a unit that we were working on and some of the pieces of floor were outside, I have a person that goes around and picks up the garbage, the little pieces, even that. We kept the grass better, especially in city property, cutting it much more often. I can keep them locked, I understand that. I keep them clean inside. We've emptied the garbage. The unit that we had bugs with, that they originated from, that unit has been cleaned in the inside. I don't say that's not my unit. I don't know. That's not my problem. I don't say that. We say we enter it and we clean it. And it costs quite a bit of money, what they left behind. I have pictures of it. You'd be surprised all that, how they live. No arguments with me from the sewer. I mean, we fix those things. Sewer's leaking and stuff like that.
Nick, to get back with what the mayor was asking you, how many units are you getting rent from that you do not own? Do you have any idea?
No, I never had.
Okay. How many units do you have that you're getting rent from? And like the gentleman said, what is your contract? If you give them a unit and they pay rent for a year, then it belongs to them? Is that kind of, I know you said it's a verbal agreement, is that kind of what you do?
Yes.
And
how many? I just want to encourage to them, to convey to them, to just pay rent on time. Just pay the rent, and they can consider it theirs. I mean, all I've tried to do is to get lot rent out of these units. Then not to...
Do you notice as you come back, I mean, of course you're working on it now, but do you notice the park deteriorating?
Cottonwood?
Well, when you say Oak Ridge also.
Oh, Oak Ridge. Deteriorating?
Yeah, both of them. I guess as a...
What part deteriorating?
Well, just the whole complex. Does that make sense? Mike, did you happen to see the pictures that that Kevin showed of the one unit that the gentleman died?
I saw some pictures, yeah.
Did you?
I saw him.
Did you? Okay. It's a shame that Nick does not see those interiors, that how this gentleman was living. And it's not your fault, Nick, but this gentleman actually, that home was so dirty that his feet were black. I mean, we took pictures of the bottom of his feet, and they were just...
The gentleman died?
He ended up dying, didn't he? He had a diabetic condition, and I think they weren't taking care of him, the neighbors. I mean, it wasn't...
An older thin gentleman?
I don't know.
I don't know. I wasn't...
We only saw the pictures.
Yep.
I got in that. I think this case happened maybe about a year and a half ago. It was at the end, almost at the end of the term of Terry Smith, close to the end.
Yeah.
I got several pictures of that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He had pets, and there was animal feces all over the place.
Exactly. And the wiring was just...
The extension cords running everywhere.
Extension cords, yeah, running everywhere.
He had a godson that wasn't all there. And he went there and he did those things.
Yeah, I don't know.
This happens all over Decatur with people that own their homes. They're doing this. Same situation is happening at the mobile home park. It's just that the mobile home park is an unpopular asset class and it gets this attention. There's houses in Decatur that are from the 1800s that I'm sure if you went in there, that gentleman, I had not been in that unit for a long time because he was a very good tenant. It got given to him in a good condition, and his godson went in there and did all that crazy stuff. I hired an electrician. We fixed that.
Well, you cleaned it up after he passed away. I know that. And you cleaned it up good.
Yeah, and I called an electrician to fix the wiring.
Yep.
And I rented it to somebody else.
Yep.
And lo and behold, that older gentleman that got taken out by he didn't die. He's back there.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm. He said, "Can I come back?" I said, "Well, you're going in with him as a roommate, and he wanted to come back."
Huh.
But one change I've done is, and this is the beginning of it in Huntington, at that property already, is that I'm doing more before I give it to them because they promise me things and they don't do them, and then they don't pay rent. Some of them are not honest in their intentions from the beginning. You must understand that I understand some of the things that you're telling me are fair, and some of the things, they're playing the system, they don't want to pay rent. I got a sewer line fixed 3 times on a Sunday because her kid would go and knock it out.
Yeah.
So she can call the health department. It was the second or third year on the properties. And the secretary from the health department called me and said, I sent maintenance 3 times there that Sunday to fix that line.
Okay, Matt or the other council members out there, anybody have any other questions for Nick? We have a pretty big agenda, and we've taken a half an hour of Nick's time and our board time.
What's the average age of your mobile homes out there, Nick? 30 years?
From the 90s, from the 80s. A few of them would be from the 70s, perhaps.
30 to 40 years? And the life expectancy, as I remember reading something about it in the state, you can't move them down the road if they're over 10 years old. So what's your game plan on this? That's what I want to know. I think that's what the main concern is about this room, or the people in this room. What's your plan, Nick? What are you going to do to kind of clean up this problem? Because it's a socio-economic problem, but we want to know what you want to do. What do you plan to do? You're going to tear these things down? I mean, I've driven by, there's windows out, they're boarded up, and we're not improving the community. What's your plan?
Mm-hmm. Well, one issue you mentioned is that they cannot be moved. I don't think
I'm just asking.
I think it's 20 years. Yeah, they can be moved from mobile home park to mobile home park.
Really?
Yes, the state actually protects that.
With
That's state law.
a title?
Yes.
So, okay.
So a mobile home park can accept, that's a state law that protects the mobile home parks, that we can receive trailers whatever age. But that's not an issue because they're not moving from one to the other. They can't go into private property, which is correct, if they're older than a certain age, and I think it's 20. The life expectancy of the home, I don't think is an issue. I don't know what it is. The condition of it, I would accept that it is. So, to fix windows and to fix issues like this, yes. But to say that we're going to close the business down because it's old,
So do you think that
I don't think that's fair to me to do that, and I don't think it's something that governments generally engage in. Are we going to go to all the local trailer parks and say your homes are 30 years old, close down?
I just wonder what your plan was, Nick.
Mm-hmm. My plan was to continue make improvements. I think I've made improvements, and not to wipe out my livelihood. Not to say this business is just the homes are old, just close them down.
Do you have plans to bring in any new trailers into that park?
No, the economics of the area doesn't support it.
Fair enough.
I bought one. I tried it. I bought 2. And
There's no doubt you've cleaned it. You've cleaned it up more in the last 6 months than it's been cleaned up in many years. So I do applaud that and appreciate that.
But do you intend to remove any of them?
No.
And some of them do you consider every trailer out there to be inhabitable?
After repairs, yes.
Every one of them?
Every one of them. I could show you homes now that are being listed on the MLS, the multiple listing service. They're being sold by individuals, by banks, by entities, and no matter what condition they're in, they all can be rehabbed. We have to be fair. I can't... to tell me that there's a home in Huntington, I went to see it. I actually wanted to donate it to a family that I know, and it was for $7,000. It's just right next to the railroad tracks. It's right behind that egg factory. And what kind of house is it for $7,000? It could be rehabbed, it could be fixed, it could be repaired. Do you go around and tell and ask the homes that are being sold that need a lot of work to be I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to be a smartass. There are homes currently being sold here in this community that are from the 1800s.
Okay.
Are you going around asking them to tear them down? What's the life expectancy of that house?
Depends on the condition of them. And, yeah, like I said, Bill he drives around and he enforces the codes and he gets people to clean these properties up.
I just asked what your plan was, Nick.
But so the plan is just to keep doing what you're doing.
That's what it sounds like. There's not a plan to put in newer mobile homes to improve the situation. It's basically just get along, collect rent, hand these things over to these people after a year's time and let them deal with and you just collect rent.
No.
That's what it sounds like to me. Am I out of line?
My plan as I go forward is to get these empty homes repaired, and the plan of giving them the home and having them repaired works very rarely. So now the plan is to repair the homes and to either attempt to sell them or give them away to them so they could just pay base lot rent. I would make a certain investment to make the home habitable, and we're spending $3,000 on one in Huntington. I hired somebody to be doing this now, and all the homes to be fixed to an acceptable condition.
But really, there's a lot of apartment complexes in this community. There's a lot of them that are subsidized as far as their rent go. And for someone not to go the apartment route and to go into the mobile home, I would have to think they would be the last resort for that person. Why would they want to forego a nice, clean apartment that they could get subsidized on rather than to go into a...
The apartment will be nice and clean when it's given to them. Shortly afterwards is another story. Most of these apartment complexes will not accept anybody with a criminal record. And I have many tenants that have criminal records. Sometimes they're old. I believe some of the apartment complexes, the offense can be older than a certain amount of time, but you will have people that will have nowhere to live because they have a relatively minor criminal offense 5 years ago, and they cannot enter these apartment complexes. I get calls fairly frequently from people that say they want to move into a quieter place, that the police is there all the time in some of these properties.
At your place?
Yes.
And how many trailer parks do you have, Nick?
I have 2 here and 1 in Huntington.
How would you compare the one in Huntington to these? Just curious. Oak Ridge and Cottonwood.
There are more empty units in these 2 parks here.
Is the ones in Huntington relatively clean and I don't know. I have not been over to Huntington, but just was curious how you would grade that lot to the 2 you own here.
The homes are about the same age. The park is about the same size as Cottonwood. It's much less treed. And I don't have as many empty units. But these 2 properties here actually have a much better future because with an investment, these units can be rehabbed and the property will be making more income and be more attractive to an investor and to be able to put money back in. When I bought these properties, they were damaged on purpose. They were damaged at a very dark period in the country when the economy was very bad. And you think they're a lot cleaner now than they were 6 months ago, and I thank you for that. You should have seen them when I got them.
But like I said, I think the clientele of people that would live there, it's that's why you have so many empty units. It's not, that you can clean them up, but who wants to live in them? There's only a certain level of people that would lower themselves to live in something like those, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
I know that a year ago when I met, was when Terry was still the health inspector, and I met the state, Brad, is that his name? He said he travels all around the state, and he said that Decatur's, Cottonwood, and Oak Ridge were probably the two worst he's ever seen. That's what that comes from him. Did he tell you that, Jessica? Yeah.
And
that's not
did
good.
he mention why he felt they were the two worst ones?
They're just the filthiest, nastiest looking part that he goes into. What would he say to you, Jessica?
I think basically just the number of repeat violations. Maybe they get cleaned up, but then it's another unit that has an issue, or it's just...
Same thing over and over and over. So.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we're going to get anywhere here this evening, Nick.
Make a plan to clean it up.
Yeah. That's all you can do.
And he is. And I think, Nick, just as a suggestion, I think if you had a good manager that was strict, that would tell these people that live in these units that they have to clean the outside, clean the yard, make sure they don't have any inoperable vehicles sitting around. Just kind of, if they follow the same ordinances that the city has, which the city has, junk, trash, and debris, inoperable vehicles, that the city enforces and tries to keep the neighborhoods clean. Now, you're going to have a home sitting right in the middle of a nice neighborhood that the people don't care, and you're going to have the same thing in your trailer park. But you just can't close your eyes to it. You need to say, you guys got to clean this trailer up. You have to take care of your overhang or your carport. I mean, just that type of thing. I mean, that'd be my suggestion. If you could get somebody that was aggressive and some manager that would go in and try to improve. Because, I mean, you're not here all the time, and you can't do it, but you maybe possibly could find somebody. I think the person you have there now is kind of a part-time manager, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, just a suggestion, but whatever.
I do something even quicker. When they throw something out, I instruct my people go get it. And I put in a system to do it faster. Our bill with the local dump here runs several $100s a month. No questions asked. They throw something out, go get it. I think the Cottonwood, we have 2 homes left to be skirted. I think the skirting looks a lot nicer. I think Oak Ridge will look a lot nicer. I can do the skirting there too. I'm willing and cooperative, and I understand some things need to be done.
Sure.
There are some economic considerations too as to...
Nick, should we, so if we get a complaint about something, you want us to call you?
Yeah. Call me and tell me which unit it is, and sometimes there's a story, and sometimes I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had an incident. I had a fellow, she knows about it. She practically had to call the police to get him out of the office. He had to pay rent 3 months. He was complaining he had cockroaches.
And he hadn't paid rent in 3 months.
I hadn't paid rent 3 months. Why don't you leave? Take the bugs with you. I cleaned the unit. And then his son was saying the same thing, and the daughter was saying the same thing, and I have the unit in front of her, and I don't have bugs. I lived there also. I was there for 3 weeks at a time over the summer. Sometimes the info you're getting, I'm not sitting here saying that I don't need to skirt the homes in Oak Ridge. I need to do it. It's just the materials is $500 or $600 a home. Times 30 homes, that's $18,000. That's the material, that's not labor. And I'm doing it. We're progressing. Decatur, the property here, it looks much nicer with all the homes skirted. I agree.
Well, the skirting that you're using, is that mobile home skirting, or is that vinyl siding remnants that's being pieced back together? That's what it looked like to me.
Is that because there were different colors?
I don't know. I looked at a couple of them. I think they were blue, the ones I saw. But, you know, I've got a background in building materials, and it just looked like vinyl siding remnants pieced back together.
No, it's brand new vinyl siding for homes from Menards.
But okay.
It's brand new. It's when you call it, when anything for a mobile home, it's more expensive. it's cheaper and there's more variety that I can get on sale, and it's actually thicker than the...
Okay.
It's the exact same material. The vinyl that's used in a house and the skirting is identical.
Yep.
That is thicker, the one that I use.
So you're basically, the lot rent per month is all the same?
Between the parks or inside the park? Within one
Within
park?
your park?
Same.
So $200, $300?
For example, Oak Ridge Estates is $315 and includes water, sewer, and garbage. And they get extras as when the furnace breaks, when the water heater doesn't work, or the water freezes.
But your business model is trying to collect that $315.
Yes, that's what mobile home parks are, yeah. It's the land lease community, that the person owns their home and they're free to move it if they want and leave you.
The statement about it, after you live there a year, it's yours, whatever, you know what, they could live there for 4 or 5 years, and when they want to leave, they're just going to leave. It's, you know, so that's all moot, doesn't mean anything.
I get out of 10 tenants, I could say 9 don't work out well. That one that does, I've accumulated several gems that really did nice with this. That they kept the home and they're happy, and I have quite a few of those. But I have to admit, it's difficult to get them.
Sure, yeah. All right, Nick, I'm going to move on to our next topic on our list tonight. Thank you for coming in.
Can we put Nick back on 6 months from now? Can we have an update?
Sure. Yeah. I've got your phone number. I got your email. I know how to get a hold of you. I'll communicate with you, Nick. I appreciate it.
Anybody,
Yeah.
I can give my email and my contact information to anybody. I have something nice with the health department inspector, you know, not writing certified letters. Just call me, send me a text. I'll get it done.
Yeah.
I don't have to, if something needs cleaned up.
Yep.
She doesn't need to send me a certified letter. I'll get it.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming in
Anybody
tonight.
can call me and contact me, and I'll be cooperative and polite, and I'll
Okay.
take care of a cleanup
All right.
immediately.
And you might talk with Craig and Chris as you leave. Maybe they can accompany you to that particular homestead, whatever. So, thanks for coming in, Nick. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jeremy, we got to move. We got a lot of things on the list. I'm going to try to skip around here and get to things that are the most important first. We got an LPA contract with NDOT for 5 Points, correct? Yes. Yeah. Yep.
You bring that copy of that. Basically what this is Tim had a chance to review the contract. It's our agreement with NDOT to engage with NDOT and American Structure Point for the 5 Points engineering and such. It's just a step we have to go through on every federal aid project.
Thanks, Jessica.
Once we sign this, it would be approximately 2 months, or up to 2 months before American Structure Point could get started on this project.
To be honest with you, I know my father's
It's pretty straightforward.
printed it.
I need
Is there anything that needs to be read
basically
flag?
just the signatures on it.
There's a lot of motion. Excuse me. Yeah, you need a motion to approve it and authorize,
Hold on.
looks like the Board of Works.
How it works to
So
sign.
hold on before you make a motion.
Okay. You know, I had marked it, so everybody,
Did you go through and look at the things that he had marked? Okay.
a lot of it was really just calling to Jeremy and Phyllis's attention that there were certain requirements.
Well, see those lines? That's the marks.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. I asked him.
That's what I thought in the email I said that, but...
Yeah, you said marks out to the side, but that almost looked like it was a, you know, something that happened with your...
Okay, well, anyway,
Okay.
basically, there's a lot of, it's like any federal contract, there's all kinds of requirements that come with that, in terms of compliance with federal or state law, as well as record keeping, reporting requirements. So I tried to highlight those things for everybody to review. That's why I sent it out.
I reviewed it, I didn't see anything unusual.
Okay, so, yeah, so I just want to make sure that everybody was aware of what those were. It's boilerplate, we don't have an opportunity to change it, so either you sign it or...
it's red.
Yeah, so that, all I'm just saying, I pointed out the things that I marked.
Gotcha.
That those are the key things that we need to be aware that there is an obligation on our part to comply with.
We got the money budgeted?
We're doing it gradually
Yeah.
on the MPH Street.
And the answer is yes?
What we're gonna need in 18 is budget.
Okay.
We're gonna need in 19.
I'll make a
Each year
motion
we'll-
I make a motion that we go ahead and pass this.
How many copies do you need here, Tim?
This one doesn't have the marks on the side, so...
original sign, I guess.
I might just print it off like...
Yeah, mine's just printed off there, Tim signed.
original signatures, basically.
Right, you need two originally signed.
I made a motion, Ken.
Bill made a second, I got a vote, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same.
Jeremy?
There's very strict
Yeah, there's very, and
ways that you're supposed to...
and they want you to use blue ink, too. It's
Blue ink.
No, they want blue ink.
Blue ink. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Anybody have
can you
blue ink
make
with
a
them?
second copy of this? This is a clean copy. And
you're
then we'll
prepared.
get two signatures on it.
the state's guidelines.
Ken, he's gonna make a clean copy without the lines on it.
Okay,
And then there's two copies you can sign.
It's only a blue pen.
So we can
It's got
move
blue
forward.
ink.
Yeah, I go ahead and, while Jeremy's doing that,
Kurt's gonna go ahead and make it quick.
Okay.
so when that comes back, you can sign it.
All right.
Okay,
That's the only copy?
that's that. Moving on to the next point. Jeremy, did you need this paper back here? The one you slid there?
Make sure you follow all the rules.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. While you're up here, go ahead.
You made the motion?
He second.
Second,
We voted.
You voted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy, you had a couple other things, I think, on here, maybe clearing work for the wastewater. You notified me about this afternoon?
Yeah, there is out at Mercer Avenue, where the lift station is at the hospital. There's a line that runs back to the west toward the railroad tracks that we're gonna need to do some maintenance on. Just general maintenance, and it's grown up in trees. It's something that needs to be cleared. Ann and I and Merlin and Don have talked about it numerous times over the years. We're going to have to do some maintenance this winter, like we had talked with you, and that really needs to be cleared off. We have no way of clearing that off. Don had received two quotes, one from Works Company that did the river bank cleaning for $7,350. Another quote was from Fleming Excavating for $9,700. I'd like to ask for permission to use the Works Company, paid out of the wastewater department to do that work.
They did a fine job for you over here, right?
They will actually pour it on everything, so it won't grow back. So.
Good.
Need a motion? A motion to accept that works?
Okay.
That, John?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor of using Works companies for this work?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you. And Jeremy, I think you also have a quote for some storm sewer work on Eastbrook?
Correct. Over the last couple of years, Nate Rimslog had did a phase one of the Eastbrook sewer. He worked with Adams County Surveyor's Department, and in cooperation with them, we've done a phase one. This actually in 17 we were going to do phase two, which we've never had an opportunity this year with everything else that was going on. It definitely needs to be done at that area floods once
Yep.
you get to 2 to 3 inch rain.
Yeah, and I recall we told those homeowners out there that it affects that we would do it, and it's been the better part of a couple of years.
Correct. Last winter, I priced this project doing it in-house, and Dan Rickard, when Dan was here at the time, said, you know what, let's go ahead and do that. And that figure was right at $24,000 just for material for us to do that. Don and I were talking last couple of weeks, and we solicited 2 quotes just to kind of see where we would be at. if we had contracted it. Brent Lukenbill from Lukenbill Excavating came back with all the materials, labor to install 650 foot of dual wall pipe, all the structures for $33,875. Plumbing Excavating came back with a quote, the exact same work for $64,000. With everything that we've got going on this winter, for the price difference of what we can buy the material for to what Lukenbill will come in and do the work, I highly recommend that we just go ahead and hire Lukenbill to do this.
For how much?
$30,000.
$875.
What exactly
Paid out of the stormwater
has to be
department.
done there? What will correct that problem?
All brand new storm sewer.
Okay, so it's just,
Yeah, we will be working in the same easement that we currently have.
it's just replacing what's
We're
there.
upsizing and replacing what's there.
Okay.
It's 12 inch now.
Make a motion to accept
Go ahead,
Lukenbill's
what?
bid.
12 and be going
24. Oh, you're doubling
The
it.
outlet's a new 30 that gets through.
Are we done this way?
More likely.
By Brent.
By spring. By Brent Lukenbill.
I
Motion.
in that floodwater when I was 10.
Really?
Yep.
It's the first through development.
So it's been a little while, not to say you're old.
Yeah, and the
Who developed-
backyards that this affects, I mean, they get fish in their backyard.
Really? Who developed that area?
I think Ideal or
It did.
years
It was
ago.
ideal years ago.
Well,
Many, many, many years ago. It's gradually got worse through development with Eastbrook and Down Ridge and all that.
Because more depends on it.
More roofs and driveways and roads.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we accept Brent Lukenbill's bid for $33,875 to take pipe from 12 inch to 24 inch pipe.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Good job.
Greg, you want to go next?
Whenever you guys get.
Okay.
I got to answer the restroom.
This is about hiring for police officers. Okay.
Jeremy, will that be paid out of stormwater fund?
Greg, give us a second. We're going to start signing these and then...
Second one.
The Lukenbill will be paid out of stormwater.
Tim, is it just one place?
Okay.
I did check with Kevin on all these numbers, just so everybody knows.
I'll get on to you and you.
Yeah, that's fine. Where were you guys going? Sit back in the audience?
Hold on a second till Craig gets back in here, if you would.
Print your name here,
And title.
title, and then you're going to sign and date on that line.
There's instructions.
Wait a minute, Ken, I'm going to double check. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so give me the other two, and I'll do those real quick, and then I'll have the pen and everything down.
That's fine.
And
So they can tell that it's an originally signed document.
Bring your copy of it.
I thought all the legal stuff had to be black.
Come on.
Used to be for a while, they wanted everything in black ink. Then when the copying machines got so good, they couldn't tell a copy from an originally signed document, so then they went back to blue.
Well,
And
The blue companies are trying to get back.
Yeah.
Mine's black.
when Ken gets done, he'll just pass the
pass the pen.
pen
I
down.
got one more. And we'll pass the pen. Go now, we did it.
Okay, what you're gonna do when you get the pen, you're gonna, Brent, just, I guess, board.
Print.
Just print and put Board of Works
BOW.
number, yeah, and then sign it and date it.
Okay. Follow my lead, Bill.
I will. Yeah.
Okay, Greg, you two listen while Greg talks, if you would, 'cause we got more to go here.
The reason we came here tonight and I brought Lenny and Mike along in case you had any questions of them for their opinions, in keeping with what we've been doing in the past as far as hiring new personnel.
BOW, okay.
We have 4 of them that we had to replace for 3 officers that are leaving, including myself, plus the extra new one that you have given us permission to hire. One has been hired in Joel Jackson. He's taking Shea Beaver's place. Then we have, what we would like from you is permission to hire 2 more that we have taken from applicants in the past. And they would, from the last bunch of applicants, and that would be, the 2 names that we wanted to submit was Daniel Hunter and Luke Roomschlag. Mr. Hunter is 25 years old. He's from Monroeville. He went to, I believe it's Concordia, graduated from Concordia, and his last year, or he graduated from Belmont. He actually went to Concordia for 3 years and then came to Belmont for his 4th year. Has a degree in history, former part-time teacher between North Adams School and East Allen. He currently is a jailer with the Adams County Sheriff's Department. Has been there almost 2 years now. Be 2 years in January, I believe. Gets very good references. Does very well over there at the jail. I think that's Heath Sample. If hired, he did agree to move to Decatur. He likes Decatur. He'd like to be over here. He hasn't applied anyplace else.
It's a big city compared to Monroeville, you know?
So, that would be with Daniel. Then we have Luke Roomschlag. Luke was born and raised here in Decatur. Moved to Indianapolis. Has been there, I don't know how many years now, several years. Luke is 33. He has an associate's in criminal justice, and he's also a certified paralegal. He worked for a company out of Indianapolis that monitored offenders down there. I think he was in charge, he was a supervisor for 7 people, and actually a supervisor for 7 people that monitored 80 people. So down there in Indianapolis, so that's a pretty big job down there in Indianapolis. He wanted to get back here to Decatur, which is exactly what he did. He has applied, my Daniel Hunter has applied 4 times with our department. So he really...
Both of these gentlemen were finalists.
Correct.
When we hired Blaze Brooks back in late February, early March.
Correct.
And
Daniel's applied 4 times, and Luke has applied 2 times. Luke has also applied for, I think, Columbia City, North Manchester? Is that, no?
Garrett?
Garrett.
And Wells County.
Wells County. And all 3 of those, he's placed anywhere from 2nd to 4th.
so if we don't get him, someone's going
Get him,
to.
somebody will. And he really wanted to...
Which one was that? Luke?
Luke.
Luke, okay.
So, very intelligent guy. They
Both
are
single,
married.
or?
He is married, has 2 children, a boy and a girl. I don't know if any of you may have known his parents, Luke, or Nancy and Lynn.
Yeah, I knew Lindell. Yeah, I know Lindell. Going back to probably January of this year, maybe late December of last year, and we were getting ready to go through this process, and it was at the time where the chief and deputy chief would interview them, then you'd take them to in front of the sergeants and the detectives, and have one big interview with them, and then you would select so many, and they would come to the Board of Works, and we would interview them, and then from there we'd make a recommendation. And it was back, like I said, about a year ago, and Cam Collier made the comment that, once they've been interviewed by their peers, the people who are going to work with, and the chief and the deputy chief, why does the Board of Works really need to take that next step? And I had offered then, I said, well, if you want, I'll go sit in with you guys at the interviews and be in that interview. And that's kind of what was decided. I did attend the interviews, but I had to leave due to a family crisis, and so that brings us back to today, and that's why we're not bringing them in front of the Board of Works like we did with the promotions for detective and sergeants, whatever. I think that these gentlemen are more than capable of making that decision.
And the process is so long to begin with. Any way that we can shorten that process and still be thorough is to our benefit.
Yep. So I'm totally fine with your recommendations and would look for a motion to proceed. I'll keep in mind then, like he said, we've replaced one of the two gentlemen that went to Fort Wayne. One of these guys will replace the other one. The other one will be replacing Greg's body. But we did okay the department to add a staff member in 2018. So they're in the process. They've got a list of applicants that they have been going through and will be working on. And they're going to come back to us here in another month or so to hire that new person for 2018.
We went from approximately 30 applicants for the next opening down to, I think we're down to 12.
Yeah.
12 or 13.
And all three of you said there's some really good young men in there. So.
And those will be coming up. That testing will be coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. So that gets us to where we're at. Any questions over here, guys?
And so we're before the board asking permission to hire the two that I'm talking about right now. So.
Yeah. Make a motion.
Comments over here, guys?
Can I ask when you're hiring?
I'm sorry?
When are you hiring these two?
Well, that's, again, we're at as you
the holidays.
We're at, well, not only the holidays, but we're at the mercy of PERF. We wish we could say January 1.
Well, yeah,
by
they
the
have to
time
be
they
approved
get
by
their
PERF,
physical,
right.
then goes down to PERF, and we wait on PERF. We'd like the 1st of January, but maybe the end of January before we
Okay.
can get them hired.
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
After the holidays. Gotcha.
I'll make a motion that we hire these two officers and take the time that it needs to get them through the PERF, put them through the process.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion and a second. Go ahead and hire Daniel Hunter and Luke Rumschlag. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate
I
it.
would add, if it's their schedule, if they could come meet us.
Sure.
I don't know any of these three, so I just would like to meet them.
Yep.
We'll do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Either Jeremy or Phyllis, somebody has an application for a parking lot to post a city ordinance sign. I think it's Back to Health. Do you have that? Is that just something we just need to approve?
The Board of Works has to approve the agreement.
It's an agreement for posting.
The sign ad.
Yeah, you've all seen the signs that are posted in various church parking lots, etc. It just says it's protected by the
City ordinance.
city ordinance, yeah. And Back to Health, Tricia Boltemeyer has requested to have one placed in her business at 1015 South 11th. And we just need to vote on this. The notice shall be designated and furnished by the sign shall be designated and furnished by the city for the following fee. She'll pay that fee at $67. So.
Need a motion?
Yep.
I make a motion to pass the sign for the ordinance.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same.
And it's signed too by you guys.
All of us right down here? Okay.
And that's Back to Health.
Yep. Just the one copy, Phyllis?
Yeah.
Here you go, guys. Tyler? Blue?
Signed here.
Yeah.
Can we do it in black ink?
Yeah.
Does that need to be attested by NDOT?
I'm not in that.
If so, I'm sure Tim does the NDOT thing used to be attested.
black. You remember when it was blue before?
Yeah,
Golly.
yeah.
What's that?
Does the NDOT thing need to be attested? Phyllis or somebody?
What?
NDOT, does it need to be attested?
Yes, well, that's what I was gonna give to
I'll need the blue
Phyllis.
pen back.
We need the blue pen again.
Yeah.
There's 3 copies.
If you don't need it right now, we can do it.
No, you can do it later, but,
Okay.
Attest
here's
the
the
signatures.
paperwork. I give 2 original to Jeremy, you keep one.
I'll do it right.
Next.
Bill, if you would like to talk a little bit about abandoned homes and share with where we're at, is what you've been sharing with me.
Well, I just,
Yeah, pass them down.
yeah.
Go all the way around to the council members,
Yeah.
I assume?
Yeah.
Every one of these you rubbed across that microphone. One more time.
Thank you, Bill. I think we...
That's got it. That's got it. We're
Where's
good.
Wiley?
Wiley's not here.
Where's Wiley?
Where's Wiley?
Okay.
Where's Waldo?
All right, go ahead, Bill.
Okay, if you recall, last year, I went around, I had probably about 9 or 10 homes in the city that I thought were need of repairs, from painting to windows to siding, and the council indicated to me that they didn't want to pursue that only because people were living in them, and they felt as a council that it may be burdensome to them. So their request, council's request at that time was to go out and find homes that were abandoned, not being lived in. So I came up with 6 properties, and on the sheet that heads it out is actually comments from different cities that the mayor went out and got information on what they do with homes that are in need of repair or homes that are dilapidated. So I guess what I'd like tonight is maybe take these properties, look them over, and maybe come up with some type of a comment that as a city, what can we do to avoid condemnation? Because condemnation is a long, drawn-out process. It takes probably 2 or 3 years, and it involves you as a city into the court system, and I'd like to avoid that. To me, there's 2 homes on of these 6 that, and they're both happen to be on Schermeyer, that I think should be, as a city, we should offer to take them down. And if you look through here, you'll see one city that came up with an idea that, in fact, it's Peru, that they say that it costs the city to demo homes around $3,000 and a home with a basement closer to $10,000. So I guess what I'd like is everybody to look these over, and maybe we can get back together again. And I know I don't like to keep putting work on our attorney, but it seems like I get a better response when the attorney sends out the letter than the building and planning department. And Kurt has all this information also, and he's in agreement that we need to get with these people. My thoughts are to try to contact these people that own these homes on Schermeyer and offer to tear them down. If you look at them, All 6 of them are empty.
Bill, you made that one suggestion to me this afternoon. It was just, you were just kind of brainstorming, but I liked that idea. You want to share that? About contacting these homeowners?
Yeah, contacting the people.
Rather than going through a condemnation process.
Right.
And us incurring legal costs and them incurring legal costs and taking so much time.
Yeah, if we can contact these homeowners through a letter and ask if they're in agreement to possibly tear the structures down, or the homes that, there's 4 homes that I think that probably can be repaired, but are just sitting there idle, and the one that's set since 2012, the one on Walnut Street, the one on 3rd Street has actually sat there for 4 or 5 years, and the one on 2nd Street I know has been sitting there for 4 years. And what these homes are doing, they're just sitting there and deteriorating, because the people that own the homes are not doing any work to them. And I don't think it's fair to the neighbors that live in that area to have a home sitting right in the middle of their neighborhood that is in disarray and continues to deteriorate. So if we could write a letter to these people that own these homes and maybe have them appear in front of the Board of Works and give us a timeline that what they plan on doing with this home, and maybe put a little pressure on them to get these homes fixed up.
Some of these owners may not even know what they have. Would that be true?
Well, the one in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
Wyoming?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Is that like inheritance? How, why would...
Who knows?
We bill them for mowing, believe it or not, Wiley, and they pay us.
Really?
They pay us to mow that property.
Bill's suggestion to me this afternoon was like, if they're content to, if the house doesn't have a basement, if they would be content to pay $3,000 and let the city tear the house down.
Yeah.
And then they have a bare lot that they own, which is better than having this.
Right.
And it's a much easier process than condemnation.
Well,
And here comes the legal guy now.
no, I'm just saying, what I would suggest is you make sure that you're looking at a $3,000 cost.
Sure, yeah.
Because that may be different here in Decatur.
Exactly. And
Jeremy would be able to know.
we've taken some homes down, we've taken some garages down. We
We would just handle it like we do the garages and such. We've been very successful the way we've been doing it. Tim had approved the legal work 2-3 years ago. Knock on wood, we haven't had any problems yet.
Yeah. But I mean, it's worth looking into. And some of these people, the guy in Cheyenne, Wyoming, he might, rather than us coming down on him and him having to go invest a bunch of money in fixing the house up and it still being a shambles, he may rather just pay a fee, let us tear it down for him, and then he's got a vacant lot that he can sell.
Well,
something that's sellable.
The alternative would be, there may be a couple of these properties where the people don't want even a vacant lot. So in that case, if they're willing to deed the property over to the city could take it down, and maybe you talk to Habitat for Humanity to see if they'd be interested in building a house there.
Yep. There's a house in Decatur that's been very bad. It's had blue tarps on the roof, and Bill's cited them for a lot of different things over the years, and lo and behold, we were contacted by the next door neighbor, and he bought it.
Yeah.
And he's going to tear it down. Or, excuse me, the neighbor on the other side is going to tear it down, and then after they get the house down, they're going to retitle the land and make each of them have a bigger side yard.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
it's neat to see that happen.
That happened on Eastman Road. There was a house that's in an awkward place, and the neighbor bought it, tore it down, and now it's part of their property.
Yep, yep.
I don't know how it got out that I was doing this, but it did. And the home that the Chirac owned, which is on 3rd Street, it was purchased by a gentleman by the name of Jerry Geimer, and he purchased it 10/31/16. And I came in the office today to do some of this stuff, and here's a note from Mr. Geimer telling me that he bought the house at tax sale and legally cannot start repairs for 1 year, which will be up in January 2018. He will start work on it then. So in other words, here, this is the kind of, but why can't he legally start working? I don't know.
Because they could pay the taxes and make money.
Yeah, he's not gonna...
He'd be out all the money he put into it.
Got it.
So much time.
Even though he bought it,
They have a
even though he
redemption.
bought it,
There's a 1-year redemption period.
Fixing it up and coming back.
God bless you. Sure,
Yeah.
Sounds like a good plan.
So what I'd like to do is maybe you guys can look these over, look these homes over, look the information over from the different cities, and then maybe next week or next council meeting, or maybe the one after. It depends on our agenda. Maybe we can sit down and instruct our legal staff to maybe come up with a letter to send to these different people, different circumstances. And Sue and Schermeyer, I'd offer to tear them down. The other ones,
Give us your plans.
give us your plans, come in front of Board of Works and let us know what you're going to do with these properties. It's not fair, like I said, it's not fair to the neighbors for these properties to sit there, nothing being done to them, and they keep deteriorating, and they don't take care of the property. The city has to go in and mow them. I mean, it's just it's not a win-win situation. So we need to do that, I think, as a city.
Ever applied for a blighted home grant?
That's possible. There's that's some of the people. Yeah, exactly, and that's possible also. But then the grant, then you're regulated by the grant writer or the grant whoever gives you the money provider, that you have to live up to their standards, and sometimes that's more of a hassle than dealing with the people. So, just another suggestion, Scott. It's
Thank you, Bill.
these kind of things we can do, but
Okay, thank you, Bill.
I like that mow idea too. That's not a bad thing. That's kind of
A couple more things on the agenda yet.
Your neighbor?
Each year, the fire department, we have an agreement with the townships, being Root and St. Mary's and Union. It's on the fact page here. Root, Union, St. Mary's, and Washington for fire protection outside the corporation limits. And it's a fine-tuned formula that was made by a council member back 25 years ago. But it works. And each year we have to renew this contract. For the year 2018, this breaks down how much each would pay. Root would pay $132,985. Well, that's not. No. Down here. Root would pay $16,703.16. Union, $7,032.92. St. Mary's, $7,912.02. And Washington, $12,307.59. And what that is that's a breakdown by percentage. Root would pay 38%, Union 16%, St. Mary's 18%, and Washington 28%.
That's calculated on their valuation of that township.
Right.
And then this money, when it's collected, goes into a fire vehicle fund.
isn't this based on our current expenses the fire department incurs?
Yep.
So it can be adjusted every year?
Sure, it does get.
I think, Les, you've
Depends on
said
the
it's been
budget.
working out real well, haven't you?
Yeah, and I did a breakdown of each of the townships as using the fire marshal's formula. So I do have the data. We're real close when it comes to the end of the year. Root will go over what their last year's was, but with the adjustment, because that's based off of not the upcoming budget,
that formula is based off of the budget we're finishing. So it'll come up, and I watched that, we're real close there.
So I need a motion to approve the contract for fire protection to our townships outside the city limits.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
And we all three need to sign, I think there's 3 copies there for you guys. Craig,
Yes.
Tim, should I mention the last meeting we talked about the letter that we were going to issue over to Conister?
Craig was gonna...
Let me give a report on it?
Yeah, well, if you want to, and then I have that letter that proposal.
Okay. I went over and spoke with them the next day and talked to Aaron Cronster, and then I received a phone call from Brian Cronster on taking down the eastern portion of that building. I did notice that they had a van. They said they would like to do that. He explained that he wanted to give so much property back, but I told him that negotiation would come after we got a contract price from Jeremy Don Bergdahl, and now I haven't got that back from them. They told me that the guy that had T-shirts and stuff in east end of that building would be starting to get those out this week. He was out of town. I did notice a van over there the other day.
Loading them out?
Yesterday, starting to haul some of that junk out. So I would continue down that path as long as we see action.
He's going to keep the pressure on for the time
I will
being.
talk to him once a week at least and see where they are.
On
Small Town Vapes, it used to be, now it's called Small Town Bar and Grill. The end building, the Small Town Bar and Grill, the Rock House, that building is a pre-stressed concrete building, and the end of it, as far as we know, is smooth concrete. And the goal is to take down that garage that's made out of wood on the end, and after they get a bunch of T-shirts and stuff, that the back ceiling is falling off of it. And Kurt had a safety violation that occurred back in July of 2017. There's a wall that's falling outward, a brick wall.
Now we want to get the rest of it.
The indication, but they didn't respond to it. So I went over and talked to him after council and with Don and Jeremy to say, what about just tearing down that whole building, because the brick is just falling and crumbling, and the ceiling's off the back half of the building. So Don and Jeremy were going to take measurements and get an idea what the cost would be, and then an environmental study. I didn't really mention that to those guys, but whatever it takes to get it down, then we're probably going to negotiate property that we take over the land to clean up the face of the east end of town coming across the bridge. That's the goal. And I've seen motion on it, so I want to keep that going. Brian Chronister owns it. He's my next door neighbor. So I'll stay on it.
Okay. Yeah.
Next.
Okay. Craig, this topic I'm going to address in 2 weeks from now. And with that being said, that's everything for the Board of Works this evening, I think, unless Phyllis has something. So I would look for a motion to adjourn the Board of Works meeting. So moved. And a second?
Oh, okay.
And a second by Craig. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, the same. Board of Works meeting is adjourned.